and amazingly, we were friends.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Bitter competitors, you know.
I think that you were driving the 240Z from the docks to your shop when you stopped at the competition department, and that was in the evening, and I drove the car.
Yeah.
And that's why I said we're in serious trouble.
Yeah. Sure. So the whole thing was to build something that could be really competitive with the 240Z. If we took the existing frame and worked with all the existing suspension and everything on it, designed a new body for the American market, they could come back and really, really take over the market. And the idea originally for me was I wanted to build a coupe that could compete with them as well. And when I designed it originally and drew it all up, I drew it up as a coupe and made a model of the coupe. And then when we looked at the amount of time and money we had to do it, we realized that we'd only be able to do the Roadster. So at that point I cut the roof off and we made the Roadster version. This car really was the development of what the Daytona is. As I said, this started out as a coupe, and it was a gorgeous looking coupe. I mean, it was too bad that we could never build a coupe. But I think that had we gone to Le Mans with it, it would have been a really, really fast car for a front engine GT at that time, and it would have been better than the Daytona. Doing this car as a roadster at the time, if you look at most of the cars at this era, the back end of the car is down here in the middle of your back. When you sit in this car, it's just right below your eye line. So the thing is aerodynamically, we filled this whole area up here, which works better aerodynamically, but for a production car, it would have worked even better because we would have had a lot more space in it for luggage. And, you know, you could have had a set of golf clubs in the back and a big fuel tank and everything else. Now all cars are like this, but this car was so far ahead of us.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing, when we were first talking, Pete had longer hair at the time. I had some too. Not a lot, but I did have some. But Pete had longer hair. And he said, having a car the way you can drive it without having the wind blow your hair was a big deal.
Absolutely.
So why shouldn't we do that?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't we do that? Why shouldn't that be included?
But if you looked at the car, you know, in the eyes of when the car was done, it looked rather heavy in the back end. And that's one reason that the car has got a lot of crisp lines around it to break that up, because if it had been all round like the Daytona, it would have looked fairly heavy. So by crisping it up with all these little design lines all the way through it, it lightened the car up. And of course, putting the spoiler in the back end, you know, got the shape good, but it also showed that this isn't a big solid shape. There's a lot of space underneath it. So it was way ahead in terms of design. The nose on the car, you know, I drew it all up and I'd done it all in clay, but when I watched Red do it in aluminum, boy, it was just a piece of art, you know. The nose is so pretty. You know, one of the fortunate things that we had is I had the glass left over from the Samurai that I could use as a windscreen, because we couldn't have had a windscreen. The cost would have been there and the time wasn't there to get a windscreen made. So I used the windscreen that spare windscreen that I'd had.
He changed the design of the car to fit the windscreen.
Yeah.
I mean, as it was, it came out beautifully. But the Samurai we were talking before, it was like $3,000 to make a windscreen.
Yeah.
Who's got $3,000 for a windscreen? Come on, get out of here. This is not $1.50.
Yeah. So
anyway,
we had a lot of fortunate things that we had, but it was pretty much a labor of love all the way. This car is such a pretty size, you know. I mean, this is really the size that sports cars should be, you know. They've just gotten so large with a lot of the federal regulations and what's gone in that the aesthetics of modern cars have changed so much because of the regulations, and you can't do a car like this anymore.
Now the thing is, everybody's going to have, if you don't have big tires, you don't have a fast car. It doesn't handle if you don't have big tires. You got to have this and you got to have that, and just, you know, it's a lot of spec things. And unfortunately, my friend was way ahead of that cam.
Yeah.
We had visions of seeing this with the BOP engine. They had this engine sitting here that we could have made monstrous power with. But the engine we used was a TR250 engine, 2.5 liter, 6-cylinder. I'd been working on this engine for quite some time because we knew the TR250 was coming, and I had to have that ready to race in the SECA programs. The fuel injection was a question. The problem was is that we really had very little experience with it because it was a whole new system to me. I didn't have an awful lot of confidence in it. The fact is I didn't have any confidence in it. So consequently, I used my friends, the Weber carburetors, and we made about 215 horsepower. I reduced the power from what we had been doing as a max. But other than that, it was pretty straightforward and not much of difficulty at all. I got to learn, because I was going to England periodically, like about every 90 days, and I go to experimental engineering, and I've long since established my bona fides with the engineering department, so it wasn't a matter of them not understanding what I was doing or what we were just doing, because I also sent them some pictures of what Peter had been doing beforehand, and so it was all accepted by the chief engineer, and but I was after money. And how do you get money from getting money from an Englishman? Come on, or anybody else, as far as that's concerned, for a speculative kind of thing. So on the way to England, my habit, having done the 12 hours over the pole many times, is that I'm not doing that anymore. So I'd fly to New York, and then the next morning I would fly on to England. Well, I flew into New York. I went to Car and Driver magazine. Leon Mandel, who I had known since back in the 50s, he was the editor of Car and Driver, and he had done this sketch for me on a piece of paper about, 20 inches long and 11 inches high. And I said, I need a sketch. I'm going to English, man. This is our opportunity for me to talk to somebody. So he knocked this out in no time and brought it over to me. I caught the plane. I went to New York. I went to Car and Driver to see Leon. I said, Leon, we're going to build this car, and we're going to compete with it at Sebring, and I want to know, will you give me the that would be the April
coverage,
April cover of Car and Driver magazine. He said, and he looked at me and said, you're really going to build this car? I said, I'm on my way to England right now to get the authorization. He said, you'll really build it? I said, oh yeah, that's absolutely the plan. I mean, how do I know we're going to build it? I got to find the dough. And so anyway, he went away for about 20 minutes, came back and said, okay, he said, you got the cover. So now I got a cover. So now I go to the head executive at Triumph, and I say, okay, well, we went through a list of other things that we were talking about, and then I said, well, there's one other thing I want to do. I said, my good friend Peter Brock has designed this car, and so, and I showed him the drawing, and they were do it on a Triumph 250. We'll call it the 250, and on and on and on and on and on and on. And I said, and besides that, I said, I've already got $20,000 worth of sponsorship from Car and Driver magazine. And they said, really, you've already got a magazine car? I said, for the month I will be racing the car. I said, well, that's bloody good. Okay, we'll give you the 20 grand. And of course, my jaw dropped onto my knee. 20 grand. Which end of the car do you want to start on?
Exactly. Yeah.
We're talking something that's going to be $100,000 Fortunately, Peter was terribly wealthy, so it didn't matter. and I was counting on that because, well, anyway. So anyway, we came. I called Pete from England. I don't remember. I called her. I sent her a telegram or whatever. I said, anyway, we're on. All we know is that we're two young guys who say we got permission to get after it.
Yeah.
And we did. So I came back but then what happened was about 6 weeks later there was another meeting in New York, and they went over the whole deal again. And I had to get the New York vice president of sales to buy in the fact that spending the money for us to build this car rather than spending it on advertising.
That's
why
a
you'd be
tough
stupid
job.
not to build a car.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have a real material thing here, and so here's the drawing. Look at this.
God, I don't know. We did it really in about 3 to 4 months or something, didn't we?
I would say probably 7 or 8 months.
that long from
Yeah,
from
because
the time.
I had to do the mechanicals before you can get started.
Yeah.
Because he's got no measurements until I get done with the chassis and so on. And then, I know what I was going to say about Max Balchowski. He talked me into plating the upper control irons and so on.
Yeah.
So, which I did. And anyway, I think it was probably that long because I had to fit it in between everything else also. So Peter standing there, just touching his feet and went, well, how are we doing today?
Well, that was, I think, the hardest part that took up half the time was the political part that Kaz had to do with British Leyland, and as we said, they really didn't get it. But I think that if you hadn't gone there and we hadn't had the magazine cover and all those other things that put the thing across, and the pressure from the American office at least to back that up, I think the American office was even more important than anything else because they wanted to.
In the end,
they understood. Well, I was there every day building on it, so I watched it all come together. And we started, as Kaz says, with a bare frame that he took out of spares.
he's out every day hustling parts. I'm working on Triumph cars. I've got a full race team that I've got to have ready to race shortly. And so my part was done. I'm waiting for the conclusion when we'll bring it all together, and then we'll finish it up and get preparation for the race and people and all the things involved in that. But he's out and he's hustling the lights and the brakes and countless other small things that we simply didn't have the money for.
Right, and then we built the clay model after we got all the drawing and did all the sections on it. And then from that we built up a wooden buck that had, section lines on it about every 12 to 16 inches, or the main cuts all the way across it. And then from that point, that was taken down to Cal Metal Shape in downtown Los Angeles, where they got these big power hammers and shaped all the aluminum panels, and then those were brought back. And Don Borth and Red Rose did all the assembly of the aluminum panels on the chassis. So the car was built,
Marvelous work.
Yeah, just fabulous. These guys were just two of the very best fabricators in
Well, they
Southern
built cars for
California.
you before. They
What's
built
that?
bodies for you before.
Oh yeah, well I'd worked with them at Shelby's, and they were just.
Because what I was doing also, that Peter gave me a photograph that he had of one of the cars that he was building, and they were building, so I'd write the story and send it off to England to the chief engineer and say, oh yeah, well, here's what car, and here's what did happen last week and where it was. And so I'm having to verify this along the way.
Yeah.
And between your deep pockets and my deep pockets, things came along. But the last night when we were doing the paint at 2:30 in the morning, and a very good friend of ours, both of ours, Dave Kent did the painting, and Dave Kent was just as masterful an artist and great painter, and actually he designed the candy box.
Yeah.
And he designed the paint job on my GT6 and TR6. He did a lot of stuff for Peter, so we both
He
knew
painted
it.
all of our cars. Yeah. Guy was just.
So at 2:30 in the morning, he's in the competition department, and there's probably 8 or 10 people in there. And they're all got a coffee cup in their can, and they're all putting it down on the body like that. Peter's coming along, picking up their coffee cup and throwing it away. And then somebody else would come along and put his coffee cup down. Peter come out and pick up the coffee cup and throw it away. And it was pretty cool, actually. And there was a lot of mentoring going on. But Dave Kent was responsible for the finish on the car and getting the car in a condition to where we were going to go to show it at
downtown.
No, at the hockey center.
Yeah.
And nothing had ever been shown there except hockey. And so the deal was, this was interesting. Now Peter had a lot of connections with writers and all this, so he called all his folks, and we had a lot of people in the balcony, about 50, 60 people, I suppose. Yeah. In the balcony, introducing the car. We're standing up there going, yeah. And the lights are down. And the deal was that I had Jimmy Ditmore in the car. We're going to drive the car out in the darkness. Peter had also gotten Stevie lights. We had like a million candle power on the front of the car with just the lights on. Spin the car out, and the house lights come up. Except I didn't know if the car would start. Actually, I didn't know if the car would run. because it hadn't run. I mean, this was all, you know, it was all painted the night before and all of this, and all of these details were saying, you know, how many hours in a day? There's not enough.
Right.
Not enough hours in the day to do what we were doing. And anyway, the car started, it came out, spun it, he turned off the lights of the car, the lights came up and everybody applauded.
Yeah.
And it was a great thing.
Major show.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know, Leon came through with the car and driver and we got that cover, that just, you know, really made the car real. There was real credibility there that we had that coverage on it.
And the other thing, and nobody's ever given you credit for this, is the photography. All the great photos that you see, this guy. He said, I'm going to be gone for tomorrow. I said, what are you doing? He said, I'm taking the car out to the desert. I said, what? I said, yeah. He said, yeah, I'm going to be out there at dawn and I'm going to do this and this and this. And he did. I don't understand that.
And those are the shots that are on the cover of Car and Driver.
Right. And when we're testing down at Sebring, why, there's the back straightaway, and then there's another service road in the back with a kink in it. And this kink it's a 100-mile-an-hour corner, I would think. Well, he comes by, the gentleman was driving, he come by, he said, I can't hold top gear through there. He said, I got it back up. So Pete's weapon with the spoiler in the back, which is, you know, I mean, this is so far ahead of everybody else. It's just amazing. And here are these two little guys from LA.
Yeah.
They said, what the hell do we know? Well, we know to put a spoiler on here. And also, I just cranked it up 2 or 3 degrees. Didn't work on the bike. It goes, ah, and never lifted.
Yeah.
And it was just yes.
Yeah.
And then there was another big yes.
Well, that was the dream, you know, but got shot down and unfortunately copied very badly.
It was a pretty disappointing thing.
Yeah.
I mean, both of us really put our heart on it. Pete, he's got his other things that he's trying to do because everybody's going to make a living. And I'm preparing and going to be racing a TR250, a GT6, and the TR250 is new, the GT6 is new, and the Spitfire is going to be fast. Well, after we came back from Sebring and went to the car shows, they liked it well enough to take it to the New York car show. It went to the Chicago car show, and it came back to me. Wasn't no use to me.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, Peter, what do you want to do with this? You know, we both got a lot of our own money in it. Peter probably got more in his in it than I did, but nonetheless, because we're going for a principle. We were trying to do something for our careers and for our companies, and just get it done. I mean, accomplishing this was the goal. And anyway, I said, well, why don't we make a trade? I just made a claim, and the TR250K is now my car.
Yeah.
And because I had some casual conversation with a couple of people on the telephone, and they didn't realize what I was asking, but I had a tape of it.
Yeah.
And so I called Peter, and he said, yeah. I said, well, why don't we make a trade? And so he's got this neat little car that I'd like to have and put a Spitfire engine in it.
Yeah.
So I said, well, we'll just trade it. So we did.
So the only thing I think here was that the British office didn't have the American understanding of what the market needed over here. They were still way too conservative over there. So.
Well, they wanted to fiddle with little things. They wanted to put as example, they put a stripe on the hood and they put reflective on the top, I'm sure it helped. Didn't make it didn't make the difference whether you bought the car or not, though. Because it was still the plain old car. When you looked at it and said, well, you better like this, whether that's on there or not. And whereas what Peter designed was just plain sexy. It was attractive. You say, yeah, I'll have one of those. And can I get one in red?
Yeah. Well, we did it in red originally.
Well,
not originally, no. It was
no, it went to that museum.
Yeah, the Black Hawk Museum.
The Black Hawk Museum. I got my old ex-partner, sent me a picture, and he squatted down next to it. He said, oh, I got a picture of the 250. Here's a red car.
Yeah.
I said, this has got beautiful blue paint. It's magnificent. What the hell are you doing changing it? And so he had it for a while, and I had the Samurai.
Samurai,
The Samurai. And I put a Spitfire engine in it, and then that was, you know, who am I going to race against? Who cares?
Yeah.
It was as much for our amusement and to relax against the war that we were having against each other at the same time. Trust me, it really was a war.
Yeah.
It was no holds barred. In fact, when Peter took nobody knows, you don't know this, the day that you took the the day that you took the 240Z out to Willow Springs,
You went there in secret, we're timing it.
I heard about it. I ran, drove home quickly, got 2 or 3 cans of Coke, my watches, I was driving an Iso Grifo at the time, and I hauled ass for Willow Springs. And I got to Willow Springs, drove past, and there's a gravel pit over there.
Yeah.
That's about a half a mile from the gravel pit over the top. I'm sitting up behind a yucca bush, or a sagebrush up there on the top of the hill.
Right.
And the track is as far away from that wall.
Yeah.
Now I got my binocular so I can see what's going on down here, you know, because
We never knew that. Not for years until later. That's the type of competition that was going on.
oh yeah, and then it gives you an idea of what the kind of war that this class was. And in fact, John Morton was of course doing the driving.
Yeah.
And what was the old man saying?
Frank Mace? Or who you talking
The
about?
engine.
Huh?
The engine guy.
Oh, Art Early.
Art Early.
Yes.
He had Art Early in the car and spun it out in turn 3. I said, I can't wait to call Peter on the phone and tell him about that. Of course, we didn't have cell phones. Well, in fact, I still don't have a cell phone. But anyway, that's the kind of competition we've seen here. And the pleasurable thing, the pleasuring thing to me, this guy and I are still friends. We are friends.
Absolutely.
That is, you know,
And that all
not
just
normally
comes from the
happens.
respect, you just can't say nobody did a better job for, a factory team than Kas. It was just amazing. And the group of guys that you had running triumphs on the West Coast was incredible. The following you had and what you developed was amazing. Well, the fact that, people still have a lot of respect for what Kas did at that time and what we built with the car, and it still stands up today. I mean, you can walk around the car today and think, boy, if you had this out there on the market, it would sell, even today. Well, it's still looking great. But I just love the size on the car. I walked in here and I hadn't seen it in all these years, and it's such a nice size. It really is just and there's a lot of room in this car. It's not anything cramped up. It could have been a production car very, very comfortably.